The red crab, also known as the European green crab, Carcinus manus, is one of the most significant invasive species in Australia. Unintentionally introduced into these waters through commercial shipping activities, this species has rapidly established a strong population, causing considerable declines in local ecosystems. By competing with native species for space and food sources and preying on mollusks and other crustaceans, the red crab has demonstrated a high level of adaptability and the ability to disrupt the natural ecological balance. Its increasing presence in Australia has caused scientists and environmental managers to grapple with finding effective measures to control and mitigate the negative impacts of this invasive species. In today's video, we will explore an interesting phenomenon that occurs annually in Australia: billions of red crabs invading residential areas. But have you ever wondered why, with such a massive number, the locals never choose to use them as food? Join us as we uncover the reasons behind this mystery and the impacts that the swarm of red crabs has on the surrounding environment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any videos from Nature Farm. Let's start the adventure right now. Imagine one morning you step outside and witness an unbelievable scene. Red crabs spreading everywhere, flooding every street, and filling every corner of the city. At first, you might think this is just a common occurrence of a large number of crabs. However, the reality shows that this is not just a large number, but a rare mass migration event. Without understanding the nature of this phenomenon, one might mistakenly believe that the doomsday of crabs has arrived, or that they are witnessing an invasion of zombie crabs. This scene unfolds not just on a few streets, but everywhere, creating a strange and wild atmosphere. In this migration event, millions of red crabs from their underground hiding places start moving as if they are unstoppable zombies, undeterred by any obstacles, from vehicles and people to other barriers. Their goal is to move to the coast to breed, a biological imperative that renders everything else seemingly unimportant. If you stand still and observe, you will see a sea of red crabs, these tiny creatures crawling everywhere, creating a spectacular but haunting scene. The streets, after the crabs have moved through, look like the site of a serious massacre, with red crab bodies scattered all over. Interestingly, although thousands of crabs are killed by vehicles every year, and many others die from dehydration under the scorching sun, the local community and tourists from around the world do not waste this event. On the contrary, they spend considerable time and money preparing for this migration, including installing miles of temporary barriers along the crab's path to help them move safely to their breeding grounds without being harmed by traffic or environmental factors. The annual migration of red crabs is a distinctive phenomenon of Christmas Island, located 930 miles from mainland Australia and 217 miles south of Java Island, Indonesia. The redland crabs are not only endemic, but also a symbol of the island, holding deep cultural significance for the local residents. Just like spaghetti for Italians, these crabs are an inseparable part of the local identity. Each year, when the rainy season arrives in October or November, millions of crabs begin their journey from their warm hideouts to the coast, a miraculous and spectacular migration akin to an attacking army, but their goal is to continue the survival of their species. Over the past 5 years, we have witnessed a significant increase in the crab population in Redland, with numbers rising from 50 million to over 100 million individuals. The sight of millions of crabs marching through the island's wilderness is a majestic spectacle. The sound they create leaves an unforgettable impression, with the continuous tapping rhythm of millions of tiny legs echoing incessantly day and night. In this context, the persistent tap-tap-tap noise becomes a powerful and clear natural melody, as if nature is playing a symphony. To support this spectacular migration, environmental protection staff at Christmas Island National Park have established an infrastructure system consisting of 31 underground tunnels and approximately 12 meters of barriers to limit the crab's intrusion into dangerous areas. However, at some locations, the tunnels have not been as effective as expected, leading to the construction of a bridge dedicated solely to crabs. This bridge, though small compared to major architectural works like the Sydney Harbour Bridge or the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, attracts the attention of visitors from all over the world due to its uniqueness and importance to the crabs. The breeding season of this crab species takes place in a bustling 3-month cycle. Initially, male crabs meet female crabs near the shore, where they dig special holes for the females to lay their eggs. After preparing these homes for the next generation, the male crabs return to the forest, leaving the female crabs and their eggs in the protected burrows. After about 12 to 13 days of incubation, and when the crescent moon appears, the female crabs begin their journey to the sea. Instead of swimming, they simply release their eggs into the water, creating the image of black masses under their bellies, filled with eggs ready to develop. The young crabs then spend a month at sea, going through various larval stages. Only a few of them survive the harsh ocean currents and predators. Those that survive begin their journey back to the rainforest, facing predators like the yellow crazy ants. Their life is a continuous cycle of running back and forth on the island, from adults to juveniles, repeating this pattern generation after generation. The annual migration of crabs has become a familiar yet no less peculiar phenomenon despite this familiarity. Local residents have to face numerous inconveniences caused by the crabs as they cross roads in succession and overwhelm human living spaces. To protect the crabs, people have had to adopt various measures such as installing barriers, carefully adjusting traffic flow, and even constructing special facilities to ensure their safety. The unpredictable movement of the crabs also poses an accident risk. For instance, their hard shells can cause serious damage to vehicles, such as puncturing tires. Crabs move freely not only on roads, but can also appear in unexpected places such as schools, offices, grocery stores, and even in kitchens or closets. This creates a risk of accidentally stepping on them, especially in the dark. However, according to the Australian Parks Authority, these crabs play a crucial role in maintaining the island's biodiversity. They perform essential tasks such as consuming fallen leaves, helping to maintain the health of the forest soil. Moreover, their burrowing activities not only aerate the soil, but also increase its fertility and nutrient richness. If these red crabs were to disappear, the island's ecosystem might not survive for long. This proves that although they may cause inconvenience, their ecological role is irreplaceable. On the other hand, the mortality of crabs during migration is such a regular issue that without the recovery of the crab population, the diversity of the forest would significantly decline. Crabs not only limit the number of flies on the island, but also help improve soil quality, promoting the growth of other plant species. Meanwhile, although crab meat might be considered a delicacy, the reality is that red crabs are not an optimal choice for consumption, as they contain up to 96% water, making the quality of the meat not highly regarded. Additionally, if considering starting a food business from this species of crab, the challenge would be the lack of meat and the significant workload required to process it, leading to low profit and economic efficiency. These points highlight the importance of protecting and conserving red crabs, not only for their ecological value, but also to maintain the balance of the ecosystem in which they live. In the context of global threats to biodiversity, Christmas Island has become the site of a significant biological invasion. The yellow crazy ant, a non-native species, was unintentionally introduced from Africa in the early 20th century and has rapidly established a strong population. This has led to the formation of vast supercolonies, spanning hundreds of acres and comprising billions of individuals. These ant populations have caused severe impacts on native species, particularly the red crab, which plays a central role in the island's ecosystem. Despite having a hard shell, red crabs cannot withstand the attacks of yellow crazy ants. The ants employ an effective strategy of climbing onto the crabs and secreting formic acid into their eyes and joints. This acid not only paralyzes the crabs, but also prevents them from escaping, ultimately turning them into a convenient food source for the ants. Surprisingly, the yellow crazy ants seem uninterested in the crab's taste, viewing them merely as a convenient food source. Scientists estimate that yellow crazy ants have killed between 10 and 15 million red crabs in recent years, accounting for 1/4 to 1/3 of the species' total population. The decline in red crab numbers is not only a loss to the island's biodiversity, but also weakens the island's ecosystem structure. In response, some scientists and local managers have considered introducing a new species, the Tardia igus somar wasp from Malaysia, in hopes that it will compete with the yellow crazy ants for food, thereby reducing the damage to the red crabs. However, history has shown that introducing new species to control pests can lead to unforeseen consequences. For example, the introduction of toads to Australia to control insects and the use of mongooses to control rats in Hawaii did not yield the expected results and created new problems instead. In the case of the wasps, it seems that scientists have conducted more thorough research to ensure that this species will not cause significant negative impacts on the island's native species or ecological landscape. Nonetheless, there are still concerns that this intervention could lead to unforeseen consequences, despite the lessons learned from previous experiences. Every winter, thousands of spider crabs appear in the shallow waters along the southern coast of Australia. They gather into large piles underwater, some of which are as tall as a man and look quite intimidating, as if at any moment they might start moving towards you. Indeed, molting is a crucial developmental step for spider crabs. During this period, they intend to shed their old chitinous shells to grow a new, larger one. During this time, spider crabs become extremely vulnerable. Interestingly, their gathering into large masses may help ensure their safety during the molting process, as thousands of crabs together can minimize the risk from predators such as stingrays, sharks, seabirds, octopuses, and other predatory crabs. Crabs that separate from the crowd may face death. These phenomena occur over about an hour, and afterward the crabs will stay together for several days until their new shells harden. Scientists are studying this phenomenon, and based on preliminary observations, they hypothesize that the crabs gathering into large groups is a survival strategy for safer molting. Recently, enormous piles of spider crabs have been discovered along the coasts of Victoria and Tasmania. However, many questions remain unanswered about the number of spider crabs involved and the duration of their gathering. This has puzzled scientists who are calling for public assistance. If anyone happens to see spider crabs, or even just an empty shell, they are requested to report it so researchers can gather more data and better understand the behavioral patterns of these creatures. In a diverse and complex natural context, the emergence of crab species, particularly the red land crab and the spider crab, has become a hotspot for hunting activities due to their nutritional and economic value. Red land crabs, although not highly regarded in culinary terms, are a plentiful and easily accessible food source, making them a logical target for food harvesting. In contrast, spider crabs, which are a favored delicacy, are often hunted when they gather in the same location. A notable phenomenon is that during migration or breeding seasons, large groups of crabs tend to congregate in shallow waters, where they are easily detected and caught by humans. A prime example is during the 2019-2020 spider crab migration season, thousands of crabs were harvested daily. Meanwhile, at Mornington Peninsula in 2020, only a few crabs could undergo molting normally due to disturbances from hunting activities, raising concerns about animal welfare and ecological balance. Animal rights activists have spoken out and advocated for protective measures for crabs during sensitive times such as molting, as catching them during this period not only reduces the number of individuals in the population, but also causes irreparable harm. Historically, humans have hunted crabs for centuries, but the current challenge is to balance human needs with ecological sustainability. Additionally, an interesting event related to dolphins has been recorded in Western Australia, where fishermen discovered that dolphins are not only natural predators, but also intelligent thieves, capable of opening crab traps and stealing bait. Dolphins have figured out how to flip traps to access the bait inside, demonstrating their remarkable intelligence in adapting to human activities. This event not only enriches the understanding of dolphin behavior, but also highlights the complex interactions between species in the natural environment. In the diverse ecosystem of Australia, a special species of crab known as Tabuca flula, belonging to the Crustacea family of fiddler crabs, has captured the attention of scientists. This species is widely distributed from the mangrove bays in Western Australia to the northern regions. Fiddler crabs prefer to live in sandy or muddy environments, where they often congregate in areas adjacent to mangrove forests. A distinctive feature of this crab species is the presence of a single large claw in mature males, accounting for up to 40% of their total body weight. This claw is not only a tool for fighting other males to gain dominance during the breeding season, but also an essential part of attracting mates. The smaller claw is retained for daily activities such as foraging and self-defense. Interestingly, fiddler crabs have the ability to regenerate this claw, a process that occurs regularly, not only in emergency situations like lizards, but also before each molting. Research indicates that about 38% of the male crabs in the surveyed population had lost or were regenerating their claws. Although fiddler crabs are not difficult to catch, the regeneration of the claw is a process that requires a lot of resources and energy, leading to intense competition among individuals in the population. The large claw also serves as a weapon in territorial disputes and protecting the male crab's burrows from competitors. Even more interesting, in southern Portugal, the large claw of the fiddler crab is considered a local delicacy, known as ucanjeri. Fishermen often harvest this claw and then release the crab back into its habitat so it can regenerate a new claw. Additionally, some individuals, after growing a new claw, may use it differently from the original. This regenerated claw is often structurally weaker than the original, forcing the crab to adjust its fighting strategies. Fiddler crabs may use claw movements to reduce the opponent's ability to estimate their strength, a sophisticated tactic to ensure survival in harsh environments. In the rich tapestry of biodiversity, many animal species remain inadequately explored. Among them, the European green crab, Carcinus minus, is a prime example of a species with a remarkable ability to adapt to new environments. This crab, native to the Atlantic coasts of Europe and North Africa, is represented on ecological maps by the color blue. However, the blue color is not merely a hue, but a symbol of their biological production plant, where they have successfully thrived and spread globally. The spread of this crab species is not limited to a specific area. They have crossed oceans to settle in new lands from North America to Japan, from South Africa to Australia, where they are marked in red on species distribution maps. Additionally, the yellow areas on the map also indicate regions where this invasive species is likely to appear in the near future. Specifically in Australia, the European green crab was first recorded in Port Phillip Bay in 1900. Since then, they have rapidly spread to other states such as Tasmania, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, and New South Wales. The proliferation of this crab species can be explained by the hypothesis that they were brought to Australia as stowaways, clinging to European ballast rocks, used as semi-dry ballast on British ships. They have not only adapted, but also become a significant nuisance in their new locales. The European green crab is known as a truly voracious predator, eating almost anything within reach, from other crabs and fish to young lobsters. Not only do they negatively impact native species and aquaculture industries, but they can also create substantial changes in ecosystems by preying, digging up, and consuming up to 40 small clams a day, unaffected by changes in water temperature, oxygen levels, or salt content. This makes them ultimate survivors, capable of thriving in all kinds of environments. In this practical context, some people have started considering turning invasive species like the European green crab into a food source rather than merely trying to eliminate them. Fishermen and chefs are gradually warming up to the idea of cooking and serving this crab species. The most common and simple methods to use green crabs in cuisine are boiling them or making broth from their shells. Surprisingly, even chefs in Australia have yet to experiment extensively with this crab species, perhaps it is time they consider exploring its culinary potential. So we have explored why billions of red crabs invade Australia every year, but the locals never consider them as a food source. For Australians, these magnificent migrations are not just a part of the natural ecosystem, but also a symbol of life and rebirth. Protecting red crabs not only helps maintain ecological balance, but also preserves an important part of the natural heritage. Thank you for watching this video on Nature Farm. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos about the wonders of nature. See you again in our next adventures.